G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here, and in today's episode we're going to be doing the Vtec lockout conversion on the non-Vtec D16 Y4. Alright, so as you just heard, we're going to be taking this Speed Factory Racing Vtec lockout kit where we lock all the pins on the Vtec arms so that it's always on Vtec when I swap these rockers and the Vtec cam into the Y4 engine over there. It's going to involve pulling apart this assembly and this assembly and making one good one out of the both. I'm going to see what I can use out of all of those. Hopefully I can use these bigger arms for the exhaust and then only use the Vtec ones on this one. Worst case scenario, we use all of this on this setup. I'm also going to go ahead and mix up some steel epoxy, and I'm going to fill the holes where the map sensor was in the factory throttle body, just to tidy that up a bit. This is the old map sensor and it normally lives just in there like that, but because I'm running the Haltech I don't need that, so I'm going to get rid of it, fill it up with some epoxy. This stuff dries as hard as steel, so I'm going to use that on there. I'm not going to bother changing to a larger throttle body, at least not just now. It's an expense I don't want to spend. I also managed to get the crankshaft nut and bolts out of the crankshaft. I went to Bunnings and I bought myself a big piece of pipe or a UB stick, because you'll be stuffed once you get hit with it. And I got me and my missus over here swinging off the jack handle and also that bar, and we managed to get that broken free. So I'm going to finish pulling that down, get the crank out, pull all the water pump and everything off soon. The throttle body will be drying and we'll get to work in doing this, and I'll show you how to permanently lock Vtec on a non-Vtec engine. No need for Vtec controllers or swapping the Vtec head. You can do all of this on the car. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, so firstly, because it's going to take some time to dry, we're going to get the epoxy mixed up and we're going to slap it in there, and that will block off the vacuum leak that would occur if I decided to take that out. At the moment on the car I'm running with the factory one of these still in there, and that's just because I haven't done this mod yet. So this is one part of each, so equal amounts of the epoxy, two parts together. Got to find something to mix that up with. This will do. It's my applicator in this instance, so mix that together nice and thoroughly. This is super hard stuff already. Alright, that's pretty thorough. Get me a big scoop of it. Slam it down in that hole. Now when this dries, it's going to dry hard like steel, so I'm going to just give it a little grind or a sand. Do that hole as well. Jam it in there. Alright, that's it. Job's done. I'll crack all of that off, give it a grind and a smooth down once it's dried nice and hard. I do need to put a little bit in that hole there too, which I almost forgot. This is where another vacuum line was that I've blocked off, because now under boost we don't want the pressurized air escaping anywhere. So just pump that full of this stuff. Just keep pushing it down in there. Alright, let those dry. Looks pretty shitty now, but once it dries up it should be good. So I'll just put that in the sun and let it cook. First job done. Alright, so over to the next job now. I went and bought some Speed Factory Vtec lockers. These are for the D series engine. So I'm going to open those up. Here's the old teeth. So these are meant to be made out of titanium. I'd be very doubtful if they were, but who cares, they're nice and light anyway. Now with these, They go in place of the Vtec rocker arm. So this is the Vtec rocker arm, so this middle one from the Vtec unit that hits onto the Vtec lobe, and you can see there's this sliding locking pin that goes between these two items here. This is the Vtec rocker arm. So normally when you're not on Vtec, you're using these two. Let's spin it around. We're using these ones to push the valves up and down. So when the cam bumps around, those two are pushing the valves for the intake open. When Vtec engages, the middle one, which has been sitting around not doing much, so it'll normally just sit by itself, the middle one then locks in place, and then it hits the middle cam lobe and gives you the Vtec. So that's what this is. So I need to lock this so that it's always on Vtec all the time, because my head isn't a Vtec head, but I do want the advantages of the Vtec head with the extra lift on the camshaft for the intake side. So that's going to get me a minimum of about 10 to 15 kilowatts on a non-turbo version, and probably double that in a turbo version. So we're going to pick up an extra 20 kilowatts, hopefully, fingers crossed, for free. Now, if you don't have a turbo, but you do have a D series and you manage to find one of these heads, you can do this mod and you can switch all of this over yourself. It's pretty simple. The only thing you got to get your head around is the timing belt and the cam gear, but we can get to that later on. So firstly, we need to disassemble everything. So in order to do that, we've just got to pull this apart. Now, I've never done this before, but there we go. It all just comes apart. Just like that, and then slide off the assembly as one piece. So that's one. Each side has these locking collars just to keep everything in place. So we're going to keep it all together. So that's one section. This is the exhaust side. These have numbers on them, so this is number 2, first one's number 1, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different ones of these, and they all go in order, so you can't stuff that up. Alright, so just pull it all apart. It's falling apart now, so keep going. Alright, so it's all apart. Now I've got to do the same to the other one, which is the standard D series one. Okay, so here we can see it's all apart. It's pretty scary to put it all back together again. The main concern is firstly pulling apart these guys and getting these out. Some people I've seen have had a great difficulty with it online, so I'm not really sure how to get these guys out. I've seen them being drilled out. I don't really want to do that, but if we have to, we have to. Don't seem to want to come out on their own, so we may have to drill them out. The middle pins already fall out, and same with the end pin. So they just come straight out. Check that these fit. Yep, that's fine. That is fine. And we just need to make it so that this one fits. It probably doesn't actually have to come out if you squeeze them on tight enough. Do I try that? You know what? I think the video I watched was wrong. I think this needs to stay in because it keeps the tension on there. If that was out, this would just slide around back and forth. You may even lose it. So I think I'm going to leave that in. Alright, that's handy. That makes life very easy. Now to make sure everything slides along these just right. So we're going to pick an end, stick these back in. It's number 5. These have to go a special way because of the bolts, and I need to get those, which are... Alright, so alright, so let's start putting it back together. First the exhaust, then this guy, then collar, okay, looks like we're gonna have to use the skinny Vtec ones. So this guy, these two, there we go, it's locked in. Then exhaust, collar, then we need this guy, so 4, 5. One. Come on. Alright, back to it. Camera died, so we'll keep going along. There we go. Alright, last ones. Exhaust, spring, collar, intake, Vtec, Vtec lockout, exhaust, collar, and then this guy, number 1. Alright, forgive the wind noise, but I've just, for the purpose of this video, I've put the Vtec cam in the Y4 head. It sits in there fine. Here is the new rocker assembly, and that goes on like so. And that's how you convert your non-Vtec head to Vtec. Lastly, just drop these bolts in there and then you're ready to go. Alright, so for the purpose of this video, this is not the final assembly, but I've just put everything in place. I'm going to use my D16 Y4 cam gear because I think it looks cooler. That's really the only reason. The Vtec lockers are installed, so you can see they move together. You don't need to take out that spring. The tension and everything is all kept perfectly balanced there, so that's all great. I've used the Y4 end caps to hold the cam and everything in place. I've used the Y4 springs which go along here. They're not put in properly. And all the collars and all the rocker arms, they're all from the Vtec head. But there you go, all fits on perfectly. I'm going to continue to pull apart this engine. The epoxy's drying nicely. It said it only needed 15 minutes. It's been about 45 minutes, so that should be definitely dry. I might even stick some more on there. It's starting to, you know, blob around, but we'll get that good. These are the old factory Vtec pins that came out. So if anyone wants to know what they look like, pretty heavy, pretty solid. They're definitely a lot heavier. Like one of these is definitely heavier than the Speed Factory titanium ones, which are double the length. So maybe they are titanium. Anyway, I'm going to stick all this back together. Hope you enjoyed learning about that.
Perfect.
Bit windy here in Melbourne, but it's a lovely day. So I've taken apart the engine now finally. Oil pumps off, water pumps off. It's all nice and clean in there. A little bit of a milky sort of a sludge in the oil, but I don't know, maybe it's because it's been sitting for a while. The rest of the engine was really clean and perfect. I'm probably going to try and take this into a machine shop and get them to hone this, fit the block guard, and maybe just double check the crank and give it a whole clean. You know how they clean it in the acid baths or whatever, so it's all nice and fresh. The Speed Factory Vtec killer or Vtec lockout kit has all been installed. You can see here they're all locked in. You don't need to drill out the pins and smash out the springs, because otherwise there's nothing that's going to hold the tension on there. So the people I've seen online that do that, I think you're wrong. That's all holding spring tension now, and it's not going to come out. We're going to have the lumpy cam idle for the intake side. I haven't decided yet on whether or not I'm going to port and polish the head. If I do, I'll get someone else to do that, because you don't want to stuff that up. Just depends on the price. I'm trying really hard to bring you guys some content every single week as a minimum, so one video a week as a minimum. So hopefully you guys appreciate it. Sorry it's not too exciting. I'm waiting on parts. It all depends on budget. Middle of August I'm going to order hopefully everything I need, depending on the funds, but hopefully I'm going to order the whole kit to rebuild that engine, and we'll get work on that. I still need to get to a dyno, I know. with this COVID stuff, it's really hard to get anywhere in public and do anything with the cars, and everyone's booked out as well. So I am trying. I do really want to know what power this car makes, but yeah, pretty low on content for the minute. So hopefully you appreciate what I'm doing for you guys anyway. Thank you very much for subscribing. We're almost at 450. So hopefully we keep growing that. I need to get to 1,000, and then YouTube's going to start giving me some cash, and then I can start balling out and spending big on the Honda projects and bring you more and more content, go to more and more events, more tracks, better parts, and just build the cars up. And anything that I get from YouTube is going to be spent straight back on the channel. So please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I've got to hit that magic 1,000 number. Also, I know it's a bit difficult at the moment, but if anyone has a car they want to shoot some video of, want some mods done that are, you know, budget mods or anything like that, hit me up in the comments. I'll direct you over to my Facebook. We can have a chat. Maybe I can do some work on your car. Maybe I can help you out, fit some parts, and, you know, you can help me grow, I can help you out. Just a thought. But if anyone's got anything they want to shoot, film, any racing, any events, anything like that, hit me up in the comments and we'll try and get together and do a collaboration, if you will, and make some cool YouTube videos. But anyway, keep it short and sweet. That's the end of another video. Make sure you do your part, sanitize your fingers, click like, click subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Hopefully some more parts arrive. I do have titanium valve springs and retainers to go into this head, so that's exciting. They're on their way. But we'll see you in the next one. More content coming soon.